is a pain in the butt. You hit your ball in the trees and then you lip out the putt. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us. 'Cause now you're listening to the Rough Cut.
Hello, and welcome down to the Rough Cut Golf Podcast, joining you on a bleary-eyed morning following a very late showing of the US Open, where rising star of the golfing world, Wyndham Clark, held some of the very best players in the world at bay to secure his first major championship and to leave every eye not dry at LA Country Club. I am joined here by my co-hosts, Mick and Kieran. Jacob is currently nursing a monumental hangover following a wedding down in Hereford. And first of all, we need a very quick show of hands. And, well, maybe verbally for people listening. I stayed up and watched the whole thing.
Yep.
Kieran, did you?
Well, I mean,
you tried to.
I tried to. I thought I was going strong, and then I don't remember falling asleep. So,
how many holes did you get through? That's the real question.
Well, I remember them like going through the turn. So, I think it's about like 1 o'clock. About 1 o'clock.
I remember seeing him turning to the first tee.
Yes.
I remember the turn in his backswing on the first.
How about you, Mick? Did you?
So I caught probably the first 5 holes of McIlroy's group, and then I had to put my kids to sleep at some point. So I caught that, and then I tried to get some sleep myself. But then I magically woke up at about 2:30, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder what hole they're on." Just going down the 15th. Great. Headphones back on. Watch the rest. Watched him come in and hoped that Wyndham. Well, listen, I know lots of people were hoping that Rory would win. I don't know if you're allowed to hope that someone 3-putts the final green on a major, so that you're. Are you allowed to hope that? I don't know.
To be honest, I was by that point, and we'll get into the full details of the US Open surely. But I think by that point, I was very happy that he actually 2-putted to win, because I couldn't have stayed away for a playoff. That'd have been next level.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, as much as I want Rory to win another one, I was not up for sitting there for another half hour.
I don't want it that much.
Yeah, I don't even imagine there was enough light.
Probably not live for it, no. Yeah. We will get onto that in a moment as well.
What a nightmare.
If you are watching this on the YouTube channel, hopefully you enjoyed that new intro. We are notionally onto our second season of the Rough Cut Golf Podcast now, even though it's a continuing thing.
Yeah, it's a new season, but there's actually no difference.
We're past, I would say we're past phase 1. Like, we were in the experimental stage, we were finding our feet, we were trying new things, we're on a gap year. Now we are fully back into it, and our experimentation will continue, but I think we've got a little bit more of a solid format. So what episode is this, 26?
This is 27.
This is
27.
Wow.
27 weeks we managed to keep this up.
We are
and
pros.
That's quite good, isn't it?
To run out of things to say. Thankfully, that is because we have golf to talk about, and this week, we have a major championship. We have one of the biggest weeks in the golfing calendar, and it was a US Open, always in my lifetime known as the hardest test in golf, the toughest major, was played over an exceptionally easy golf course at LA Country Club. I'm riffing a little bit there, but there was some very, very good things about this event, and I think there was some very, very not quite right
questionable
things. Questionable, not quite right, questionable. Thank you. As you can see, I have my double coffee on the go here.
Get that down, your son.
So I think we should probably start with, first of all, thoughts on this course, because it hadn't hosted a major championship before. It had hosted some amateur events, and it is due to go back there, I think, in 2039, which seems randomly far ahead in the future.
That's a lot of prep.
I don't know why they're planning that far in advance. Who knows what's going to happen, but it does seem quite random for it to be that far in advance. So what were our takeaways?
I thought the golf course was beautiful.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah.
I thought that it looked great on film. I thought that the shots that the players were asked to hit were quite interesting. Like, I didn't feel like there was ever a kind of like boring straight flat shot with no danger. So that was good. I did feel like me and Jacob were talking before the tournament about what we thought the winning score was going to be, and like you said, because the US Open is historically the hardest major, we were thinking a 7 under or a kind of 4 or 5 under might be where we were looking at for the winner. it ended up being kind of, was it 10 in the end?
Yeah, 10 under. But after the first day, it was 8 under.
Yeah. So that's the kind of a very telling piece of evidence that the course was much easier than in previous years. The fact that it's never hosted a major before, you can kind of tell why, because I don't think necessarily that the infrastructure of the course and the club itself was set up to host something as big as that tournament.
It's also an extremely exclusive golf course.
Yeah,
it's
which I think is part of the
extreme.
Which is part of the problem. I think they held back tickets, and it did have a little bit of a weird vibe. I felt.
We'll get onto the crowds in a moment, because that is, I would say, a little bit of heavily publicized hearsay.
Yeah,
I think everyone is pretty sure it happened, but we're not actually had anyone come out and confirm that yet. So we'll get onto that in a moment. I think for me, obviously, the course got more US Open the longer the week went on, because it got sunnier, it got firmer, things started to bounce a little bit. You started to see people going to kind of areas of the course that you hadn't seen on the first day.
Right.
I think the width of the fairways was a little bit silly at times. They did have some quite severe slopes, and you had to hit the correct part of the fairway on a few holes. But, for example, like I said, I'm very happy that Wyndham Clark won. There is no way on the final round of a major you should hit a drive that far from where you were aiming and it still end up in the fairway. You could have landed a 737 down that fairway.
Is that on the 18th?
It was massive. Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, he's lost it.
Yeah, and
as you see the tracer fly away, you're like, oh my god, he's lost the tournament. Rory's going to get in.
Suddenly sat up, and I think that was the first time this week where actually I've seen an aerial of the 18th, and I was like, wow, that is like St Andrews, first and 18th.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably wide.
Yeah, it was to the point where I think going up 18 or maybe going up 17, it came up with Wyndham Clark's stats. He hit every fairway and every green for the whole weekend.
On the 18th?
Potentially, yeah. That was ludicrously easily.
Yeah, and I don't know. I always, for a last hole, I always like to see it have a little bit more. There's a little bit more excitement to it. I didn't really feel that last course was going to cause as many potential catastrophes or give any really rewards. It's just a par hole, isn't it? A par was a good score.
Yeah, they weren't asking you to make any kind of judgment decisions. Really, they were like, hit it as far as you can. Don't worry about if it goes left or right, because you'll find it.
It was just a smash.
Yeah,
and to be fair, those last 3 holes, very very long stretch in, all par 4s, all over 500. I think.
Yeah, but they were hitting 300 and something drives, which leaves them wedges and 9-irons in, which is not.
It was quite strange, wasn't it? Because the yardages on the golf course, when you looked at the card, you were like, oh my God, 540 yard par 4. But then the elevation changes, the slopes of the course meant that, these drives were going absolutely millions of miles.
Yeah.
And then the par 3s, oh my God, it's a 300 yard par 3. And Rory's sticking a 4-iron in there. Yeah. I don't know if it's Rory and he hits it a million miles, but you had that landing point in the front where you could run it in. So I kind of felt that some of the yardages were maybe. They didn't play that number.
Yeah, they were a shower, not a grower.
Inversely to the 18th, I think the first was quite fun to watch. People get up with a little bit of nerves about to go out on their round, or maybe to go and try and defend their lead that they've built up, and then that tee shot was pretty. It was fun watching Rory just munch it every day.
Every day, just munched it, didn't he?
Absolutely,
380 sort of.
I think there was a 389 in there potentially.
Yeah, he was smashing it.
And again, I quite like an opening par 5 because it does help get the round off to a flying start at times. Do you see Harris English's drive though? Smashed it into the grandstand.
Yeah.
And we'll get onto the crowd in a minute. He hits it miles off to the right hand side. There is a grandstand in a bunker.
And someone picked his ball up.
Yeah, someone picked his ball up. What was going on over that side of the hole? I've no idea. I didn't actually see anyone over there apart from Harris English. But yeah, some guy picked the ball up, and then it pans out, and then there's a hospitality section of a stand in the bunker to the right of that hole. I just didn't understand anything that was going on down that point. But Rory, like I say, Rory absolutely munched those drives every day down that hole. And you just felt, as soon as he hit that first tee shot, you're like, oh, he's off to an amazing start. This is going to be great. But you couldn't tell because the crowds were not going wild, shall we say.
Yeah. It felt quiet, didn't it?
Well, it had, and again, this is something that I just read from a respected journalist. I don't see how the numbers wouldn't be correct, but there was 23,000 tickets available per day, which doesn't seem a lot.
No, it doesn't.
Again,
can you give us a reference as to the Open or somewhere like that? How many tickets do they knock out on a day for another major?
It's so course dependent.
Right.
So I've got a feeling that 23,000 tickets is subjective to the fact that LA Country Club has a lot of slopes, maybe not as many places to actually watch.
Yeah.
Because you did find it a little bit, there were patches of the course during the last round where all of a sudden you thought, oh my God, there's people here.
Yeah,
There's cheering. And then there's some holes you look behind the green, there's no one there.
Yeah.
It was a little bit weird, but apparently, again, this has not been confirmed by my sources on the ground. Did you have any sources on the ground? Too many sources. That a lot
You're
of
like Heinz.
A lot of the tickets for this event were bought up by the very wealthy members of LA Country Club. A lot of the tickets went to corporate hospitality as well, which you could buy, but it's exceptionally expensive.
Yeah.
So in reality, there's only about kind of 10,000 true mashed potato golf American screaming fans in there. Now, listen, I think sometimes, American crowds do get the mick taken out of them quite a bit for the fact that they do shout things like that. And it does get a little bit boisterous at times. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But American golf crowds, they are fantastic in unison at creating an atmosphere. And like the US Open is something which should have that atmosphere, should have that tension, and it just felt a bit flat. And then when you didn't have that crowd, all you could hear was a bloody blimp.
Yeah,
planes.
Was it a helicopter or something? What was that, like a continual humming?
It was just, I don't know. It was just like a constant stream of aircraft flying low around the golf course. The whole kind of atmosphere seemed very, very strange to me. And it just didn't feel like a major.
It to me, I completely understand what you're saying. It did have a little bit of that flatness until you kind of, what you had to do was kind of like remove those aspects from the game and just concentrate on who was playing. I kind of found myself the first couple of days being like, why is no one watching Rory? Why is no one following Fleetwood or DJ or Bryson? Like, Bryson's probably hitting these drives miles, but we're not seeing it and the crowds aren't following them around. Eventually you just have to get to the point where you're like, these guys are destroying this golf course until the fourth day, when it did harden up. But it did feel very, very odd to, not have the players have to compete with the crowd at times. Rory going up 18, he stepped off his shot because the crowd was so loud. But that was only because there was only one hole left. Everyone was there at that point.
All of a sudden realised, oh my God, here they are. The members are out for the first time.
Yeah. They're like, are there actually people playing golf?
All the members were out waiting for the tee to clear. Trying to get a twilight around it.
Yeah, of course.
These boys take a long time.
Yeah, it was late, wasn't
it? It was. It was just
so late. Like, what time did it actually finish? Because I'm... 3?
Just before 3.
Yeah.
Well, their last putt went in before 3. That doesn't mean they did I went to sleep before they gave the trophy
what time
out.
did they tee off? They tee off at like
11 for us.
It's their time. What time is that their time?
We were 8 hours behind.
So
in front.
Yeah, I remember Roy's was 10:30, so that's 2:30. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But they could have easily gone off earlier.
Way earlier. Yeah.
I think we have to obviously understand that. We're talking from a very European perspective.
Yeah, but even the players were saying like they were going down.
Wyndham Clark.
It might have been 17.
Yeah.
17, where the sun is directly into your eyes as you're hitting your tee shot. And they were all, actually 18. He hit his tee shot and he was like, don't know where it's gone. No idea.
Yeah, well, Clark said after the
relatable
on the Saturday when he bogeyed like 17 or 18, like he said that's purely because of like the light and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So wow.
Yeah, it was some very strange decisions. And I think, I don't know, I would have loved to have seen that course. It isn't, all down to the USGA. The fact is, you do have weather that you can't control. But I would have liked to see it play as firm and as fast as it did on the last day or throughout the week. I think that would have made a much more interesting spectacle in many respects. But, I mean, you can't take anything away from Wyndham Clark winning this because it was a fantastic performance all week. And, it
Yeah.
was him realistically. I think after those first few holes, we all kind of knew that it was going to be Rory or Clark.
Yeah, it would. Listen, Fleetwood made a little bit of a late charge, but I think you're right. Like, people were. I had a little bit of hope for for Cam Smith to kind of come up.
And Ricky as well.
Ricky,
for me, I was torn between Ricky or Rory, and I genuinely was like thinking, I actually don't know who I want, because obviously Rory, because obviously he needs to get another major, but then Ricky as well, because he's had quite a bad time at the moment recently.
There's always there's always in the last round of a major, in the contenders, there's always someone who drops away, and after those first few holes, you just get a sense that it was going to be Ricky. Like, he just wasn't hitting his numbers. Like, he was hitting shots that he just hadn't hit all week.
Yeah,
putts weren't dropping. Yeah. You could just kind of tell. But bear in mind, he's not been in this situation for years.
No, yeah, 100%. But he has been in it before. So I didn't think that was going to be his issue. I just thought it was going to be, I don't know, whether it was a late charge from someone else. I thought he was going to be pretty solid, whereas he wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not a new situation for him to be in a position to contend to win, but it's been a long time.
Long time, yeah.
Like, you do, not that you forget, but you just kind of not sensitized to that kind of environment as much as he has been.
Yeah.
And the fact is, it is a major.
100%.
It's extra amounts of pressure.
It was lovely to see him up there though, like competing and so, because last year he was like the first reserve last year. So he was
first alternate.
He went there and was on the range just practicing, hoping someone would.
Did you see this?
No, I didn't see this.
It was basically all day at Brookline last year.
Yeah.
He was just grinding on the range,
hoping that someone would Zalatoris and he'd get to go and play.
Yeah, and no one did.
No.
Oh, that's so
especially
sad.
Zalatoris.
Yeah,
so to go from that to then leading on the final day, leading pretty much every day, wasn't he? After 18, 36, 54. So.
Yeah, it was like you said. It was good to see him back, and I think a lot of people wanted to see him win, but I don't think there was a great expectation of him winning. Of course, the expectation was on Rory, but I don't really think you can take anything away from Wyndham Clark. I mean,
no.
I love his swing.
I was going to say, talk us through the swing. So
we fundamentals of it.
Had a video come out end of last week, where we played night golf in Turkey, and one of the things you were saying on the tee boxes was like, I'm trying to channel my inner Wyndham Clark, and I was like, that is such a niche for me at the time. Obviously, it was like, that's such a niche reference. Like, talk us through the swing and why it feels and looks so good.
Well, I think when we recorded that, he just won his first kind of
PGA Tour. Right, okay, yeah, it was a while back.
But he was he knows. I really like golfers who really know their game and just play their game. He is a absolute smasher of the golf ball. He sends it, but everything's a cut. And at times, everything is a huge cut. It's a semi-slice back into the fairway.
At what point does that transition into slice?
As soon as you start pointing right with your club, a shout for. But around that golf course, because he could aim left and just swing hard, because the fairways were generally quite wide, apart from a few as we mentioned, it just really suited him. And his short game, under that pressure, was amazing.
Some incredible touch around the greens when he really needed it.
I think it was on the 11th, the 295-yard par 3 down the hill. He hit it left of the green. Again, because it was bouncy, that was an area I've not actually seen before that week.
Right, yeah.
And he just had to hit a flop off a tight lie to a tight pin. He almost boxes it, holes out for a par, and you're like, man, this is his.
Yeah. It's moments in a tournament like that where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy doesn't mess up, he's in the zone. He just can't get things wrong.
I mean, he actually made it more interesting than maybe it should have been. So he whacks it on that par 5 in 2, and everybody, amazing shot, everyone's like, well, this is his. This is his, makes his birdie. And Rory makes a bogey. Makes a bogey on the next hole or a par? No, he just pars it.
Right.
So Wyndham Clark goes ahead and it by 3, and it's you know what, he's not going to give this up. He's just playing so well. And then all of a sudden he throws in two bogeys in a row, and I'm like, well, maybe I can't go to bed now. Maybe I do have to watch it. And then he just had to. We were just hoping and just praying that Rory would make a putt, make a birdie. It just didn't happen.
The putter was cold again.
Oh, it was frozen.
Yeah, reminiscent of like final round St Andrews.
Yes,
Where
it did. It did feel like that. You're like, all he has to do is get some of these to go in, and the tournament's his.
It's a perfect analogy. Like it was one of my first real experiences of like doing any live kind of commentary work and like being on a range at a major championship last year at the Open and being up close and personal with the players and stood behind Rory on the range just before he was about to go out for that final round. There was no doubt in my mind that he was going to win by about 8 because he was hitting the ball like I've never seen the ball hit before.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. You just stood there and he was smashing these irons and they were just like going through the same spot in the air. The drives are flying 320 through the air and it was just easy and it just looked incredible. If you'd have made me bet right then, I'd have put thousands on him. Like there was no way he was going to lose. But it was exactly the same. Like he was smashing the ball off the tee. He had great control of his irons. I'm pretty sure he hit 15 out of 18 greens on his final round. I'm pretty sure during the week he's hit 83 or 85% of all his greens in regulation.
Wow.
At a US Open.
Yeah.
Like,
it shouldn't be that easy, should it? Really?
Yeah. He's always
a freak,
hitting the ball incredibly well. And him and Wyndham Clark actually had the same scores every day apart from Thursday, where Rory shot 65 and Wyndham shot 64. And that was the one shot difference all week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
crazy, isn't it?
I mean, they both, like I said, they both shot kind of level par on that last round. But it was more, it's amazing. Like they both shot level par on that last round. There's only one shot in it. And yet it feels like Wyndham Clark won it and Rory lost it.
Yeah.
Whereas actually there's so little between them just because his putter was so cold. He lost 2 strokes on the field, strokes gained on his putting on the final round. God. Now you could argue that he's hitting a lot more greens in regulation. So when you see him miss, 8, 9 putts, you're like, oh, he's just not holding anything. But in fact, like he's just hitting a lot more greens than everyone else. He's giving himself more opportunities from a distance.
So your ratio of putts actually taken goes up, doesn't
exactly.
it?
So on a US Open, if you're hitting an approach about 20 foot from the pin, that's a really good shot. But you're only realistically going to be holding about 20% of those putts max. But he didn't hold anything, like literally nothing, all day. And he was a bit tentative at times, but he also hit some great putts that just didn't drop, and it was just like,
yeah.
Sorry, that's my little rant over.
It is horrible. Like, and of course, we would all like to see him. He said himself, like, no one wants him to win another major more than he does. And we're all sat there, quiet, maybe not so quietly, like rooting for him over almost anyone else. Maybe bar Ricky at points during the weekend. But it's just so hard to watch someone who has it in them just come up woefully short. Just each time you're like, you're sat there like, this is going to be the one. Like it feels like a Rory course, or, he's hitting his driver like this weekend, hitting his driver like no one else is. Unbelievable. All his irons are great. Just couldn't get the ball in the hole.
Yeah. But what was that stat as well? Like Rory's got like the lowest second place score at a US Open or something like that?
Yeah, the best score to not win.
Best score to not win. So any other time he would have won.
Nobody has finished better second than Rory. So in any other US Open, like he would have won it. He would have won it, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Do you think that you literally just can't account for someone just having the weekend of their life?
But it wasn't like Wyndham Clark played exceptional golf, and I think everyone's pretty much on board the Wyndham Clark bandwagon now. Everyone's appreciating what a great player he is.
The Wyndham Winnebago.
Very good. The Wyndham Winnebago. And I was, it was just, again, he had a glorious chance to win. Yeah. Because he was striking it so well.
He had chances, he had chances to be out ahead.
Yeah.
At points. Just couldn't do it.
I just don't know. I'm almost getting a little bit of like, because I want him to win so much and I get emotionally invested in it. It's just, it's too tiring. Like I'm gonna give him Royal Liverpool, where I can get on board the Rory bus again. Yeah, the Rory Rover or whatever. Yeah, Rover, British brand, gone. The Rory Range Rover,
Yes, owned by Jaguar now.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need to go into like the very specifics. Of
I don't know where they're from. Traditionally a British brand.
Yeah. So
the Rory Rolls, I reckon. Would be a good
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah, very good.
I'll
Rory
take
Rolls
that.
would be good.
Yeah.
Like I'll give him Royal Liverpool where I can get fully invested again. But
And you're going to be there as well,
yeah,
like
I'm
in
gonna
be there.
the flesh.
And not have to stay up till 3 a.m. Like you can go to bed at a nice time.
I'm going to be sat there behind the 18th. I'm going to be on the green. I'm going to get some passes. I'm just going to sit there and stare.
Hold the flag for it.
Stare. I'm going to. Once my work is done,
I want a caddy.
because I don't think I'm doing any kind of on-course commentary or anything. So as soon as my work's done on the range,
Everyone's left the range.
I'm going to head down onto that 18th green. I'm going to stay there for 5 hours. I'm going to watch every single putt. I'm going to get Harry's number. I'm just going to text him. I'm going to let him know every single break off that last green.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come down to it again. You just know it.
Get the drone up and get the overhead so you can get all the angles.
Honestly,
get the putt view glasses on.
That's what I'll do. I will wear the putt view glasses in the stand.
Bit more left, Rory. Bit more left. 2 cups. 2.
God, that'd be amazing. Just imagine.
Yeah,
So-
the level of cheating just goes up
Yeah.
now that the putt view is out.
So I'm going to do that, and then that's it. And then I'm out. If Rory doesn't win a Royal Liverpool, I'm out. I'm never ruining it.
Well, this is the thing. I have been saying probably since the Masters, I have been saying sometimes under my breath, I don't know if he'll ever win again. And part of me is thinking he's struggling so much that maybe it won't. And then the other half of me is thinking, well, if I just am really negative about it, maybe
then
he'll turn it around and
reverse odds. Yeah.
So I don't want to root for him too hard because then you do get that he seems to have unlimited potential to disappoint. But there is also that little bit of me that thinks this could be the one.
Yeah.
Well,
Liverpool could be it.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, isn't it, with Rory? Like, I read something before, I think it was a tweet or a news article, like, Rory never, ever gets credit for the consistency in finishing so many times in, like, the top 5 of a major. His second places are always a hell of a lot more disappointing than someone finishing in, like, 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
Correct. Because we know what he's capable of.
Like Scheffler.
Yeah, he did nothing, did he?
Rubbish.
He did nothing, and yet there he is.
Yeah.
Near the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Cold putter.
Fair place, wasn't it? Something like that?
Yeah.
Fair place. Yeah, fair place.
Third place.
And we're not talking about it.
Where the hell did he come from? Nobody's talking about the number 1 player in the world having such a disappointing last round.
Yeah.
We can talk about one of the top 3 players in the world having a disappointing entire weekend. Is Rahm all right?
He's top 10. Like this is
No. Hold on. Rory and Scheffler are both right up there. The other 2 best in the top 3. What the bloody hell has happened to Rahm since the Masters?
Rahm was just angry the whole week.
Yeah,
he was an angry man.
It wasn't going his way, and then he finds him. Was it 65?
65 last day, but even then, I saw some some stuff on Twitter of when he was going to the scoring hut, he has his putter and he just hits this.
Yeah, that was on the first
ball.
or second day. That.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I thought that was the last day.
No, you're investing in that fake news, man.
Yeah,
I love
but
the
that came.
anger.
I only saw that on Sunday, so I thought, and it was after his round, so I thought it was because of that.
Yeah.
But
Get the context. That's important to get context, isn't it?
Yeah. But no, I mean, he's
Did
just been sad.
Did it not cross your mind and think, God, he's just shot 65?
Yeah.
He's very angry at that 65.
Why is he doing that?
Well, there was a few times where, because we saw quite a lot of coverage before, obviously the big guys sort of went off, and the amount of times I saw him just one of the putts just miss or just go off to the right, he'd be so annoyed.
Yeah.
He'd be so annoyed at himself.
But it's again he knows how good he can be and has been this year already. So you can imagine the disappointment when it doesn't come together in a major.
Yeah, he's just got extremely high standards.
Yeah, Rahm's at that point now though where his focus is majors.
Yeah.
It's been like that for a few years, but your every week PJ Tour event to him, it's great to win it.
Yeah.
But he's
not focused.
Yeah,
on
if I need to buy more more cereal and stuff, then I'll go and win a random tour event. But I'm not here for that.
Yeah, he's now legacy driven. He just wants to back the big ones. And
one that he doesn't have. I mean,
exactly. I mean,
he's got US.
He's got US.
Yeah, but that's his next job, isn't it? Is to get some more that he doesn't already have.
Yeah.
Well, Liverpool's coming.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
He's got 2, isn't he? Yeah, so he needs PGA and Open, innit?
Yeah,
PGA and Open.
And I kind of think that I've literally forgot that he won the Masters, by the way.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
No, honestly, no, so did I. Just I had to remind myself.
It's
On Sevi's birthday.
Yeah, it is interesting with the Masters ones, actually. Like, if it's not a dramatic Masters, it slips. Just slips from my mind.
They have to. The thing is, even if the tournament's like a little bit watered down and disappointing, they still have to give the jacket to someone. They can't just be
Brooks,
like, I'm sorry, there weren't any big stories this year. So
Brooks messed that one up, and he knows it.
Brooks wasn't firing like I thought he was going to.
No,
he wasn't a fan of the course. He wasn't a fan of the course. There was quite a few people who weren't fans of the course.
Hovland didn't like it.
You know, and they've all been very expressive about that as well. So they've not held that in. You know.
I think with the US Open, something which it comes across every year. People know what a US Open is. People understand that when you go to a US Open, you are going to be faced with a monster of a course, which is firm, it's bouncy, slightly unfair. The rough's going to be thick. You're going to be challenged in every aspect of your game, especially mentally. Yeah, and it doesn't feel like that.
And also, like, not rewarded entirely based on how well you've hit the ball. Like, you can hit it perfectly and still not get what you wanted out of it.
And you're there to grind. Where that par is a great.
It's a great par.
We didn't really get that this weekend.
No, it just didn't feel like that at all. And I think with every single major, we've already spoken about this. Like, every single major, it's interesting for different reasons. I think the USPGA is always the one that people don't quite understand what the kind of profile of it is.
Identity of it.
Well, the identity. What's it actually giving? The other ones are pretty much self-explanatory. And I think this was one where the US Open didn't quite have that, apart from like the last day. Like, the last day is the first day.
Yeah, I was going to say the PGA kind of. I thought that was really exciting. Maybe because Brooks won, but like, it was.
I loved it actually.
But it was exciting. Like, it was a good one. So whereas this one kind of didn't have as.
Yeah, they're a little too similar to each other currently, aren't they? We need one of them to differentiate itself a little bit so that we can. Oh, yeah. I think it's because you want to know what you're watching before it happens. Like with the Open, it's going to be lots of people running the ball up to the green. It's going to be very firm. It's going to be very bouncy. Lots of linksy style play happening. Not necessarily hitting driver on every hole. Great. With the Masters, it's going to be, it's just like it's the Masters. It's the Masters, so it has that kind of gravitas. And then the other two, you're kind of like, well, what are you really?
I mean, obviously the course plays such a major part in this because what you want from a course, certainly what I want. If I'm sitting down and I'm watching 4 days of golf, I want to know there's certain holes that I can remember and I can base my kind of opinions on. Yeah. So one good thing about LA Country Club, there were a few holes, like you got the par 3 that went down to 80 yards. What was that?
83 I think they played it out, which was amazing. Yeah. People spinning it back off that little mound towards the hole. That was cool.
You've got the dogleg, like short par 4 that's drivable. You've got that 295-yard par 3 downhill, the 11th. There are certain holes that you look at and you're like, that's quite cool.
Yeah, I like the 6th. I think the 6th is my favourite, which is the kind of weird dogleg where you can either go over the tree onto the green.
Like what Fleetwood did.
Yeah.
Fleetwood, but Eagle did.
Yeah.
60,
that was so good.
63 for Fleetwood, by the way.
That was so
good.
Yes, so he became the first player to shoot 2 63s in the final.
Yeah. He's
in the final round,
in the final round
of the US Open.
So
now his putter was bloody on fire.
Now, listen, Tommy Fleetwood with a hot putter. That is
good lord.
That is exciting for Liverpool.
His swing looks different. I don't know about you guys.
Does it really?
I think his swing looks different.
What's he doing?
I don't know. Like he's with Butch Harmon now, isn't he? And he's like, I'm not even going to get into it. But I'm not going to say it. But do you think there's something different in it?
Not really.
No,
mildly different.
I thought it looks more solid. I don't know. Like
I mean, bear in mind, he's playing well.
Yeah.
Like any swing looks more solid when someone's playing well.
No. It's just been the last sort of couple of weeks I've sort of seen a lot of him and it just looks solid. Like he looks really good.
Well, there you go, Tommy. Well done.
Yeah, well, you've convinced Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran is now a believer.
He was a prolific Fleetwood hater until the last 2 weeks.
Honestly. Like Tommy.
Me and Jacob worship him in the office and every time we talk about him, he actually leaves or vomits. So
And Finno, like, if you're watching this, like, just watch out for Kieran. Like,
Yeah.
he would be chirping all the time from the gallery. It's absolutely
We met
disgraceful, to be
Finno.
honest.
I don't want to. I don't want to get on the wrong.
Oh God, yeah. I won't tell what you said
ending.
about him either.
Yeah.
So, Tommy, if Kieran asks you for a photo at the Open, tell him no.
I think he's great. Yeah. No, I think he's good.
You like him now?
I think he's
That was the
great.
quickest turnaround I've ever seen in my life.
Anything you say, I was like, it doesn't sound genuine. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
No, I just said
Great, yeah.
he's looking good. He's looking good.
Yeah, particularly that last round. I wonder if the like firmness of the golf course kind of played into his hands a little bit, because he wasn't particularly brilliant the first 3 rounds. He was good, but like the last round, he just found something magic.
Yeah, well, he obviously had a bit of a disappointment last week as well. It's always hard to kind of come back off I'm saying this like I'm a seasoned PGA Tour pro.
Yeah.
If you like, if you lose a playoff, like it's very rare that the next week that player will go on and win.
Yeah,
like
you lost the playoff at a Faldo Series event in 2012 or something.
and I was gone for weeks.
Yeah,
Just gone. Just gone. I couldn't pick up a club. Couldn't even look at a golf course.
Yeah. That's 6,300 yards that you played. Couldn't hack it.
Unbelievable. So I think with that, obviously we've not really got that long until the final major of the year now at Liverpool.
We have not.
I mean, we can have a chat a little bit about what we're thinking going into that. I mean, who impressed you the most this week, and who was like the biggest disappointment?
Well, yeah, Fleetwood for me. Fleetwood biggest.
He was your biggest disappointment?
No, biggest. biggest.
That they showed him so much on TV. You were sick of it, were you?
Yeah, definitely Fleetwood for me. The person that actually disappointed me the most was Scheffler, because Scheffler genuinely should have probably won that.
Yeah.
Been saying that a lot about him this year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
If he could put like a
He'd be lethal.
8 handicapper,
Yeah.
like
He'd
he
be
would
lethal.
literally have won everything this year. His putting has just been so bad for nobody knows why.
But it's just very like, I thought Scheffler was gonna have a bit of a charge, and like I didn't want him to for this Sunday, because you don't want to, but like
It's
it's
same-
just in the back of your head.
So every time Jacob does his majors prediction for, like, goes through the stats and works out who he thinks based on, trends and stuff, who's going to win, he's like, I don't want to recommend Scheffler again, because he's just like, he's there every single time.
Yeah, he said Cantlay, didn't he?
He said Cantlay and Fleetwood.
Cantlay not good. Where was Cantlay?
He was hanging
okay.
around. I think he was top 20 in the end.
Top 20.
But
God, they showed some of him, and what I love is the comments. They'll cut to him as he's about to hit, which is fine, which is great, because they're like, and Cantlay on 17, and then he putts and the ball goes in the hole, or it doesn't, whatever. They cut to him a few times while him and his caddy were discussing what he was going to do, and then you can kind of hear in the background the commentators going, "Bloody hell, he's taking forever."
Yeah.
Like, stands where he's going to stand, visualizes the shot, walks back behind it, checks the wind again, takes 5 practice swings, walks back up to it, waggles, does his little tippy tap.
Yeah.
Oh God, it just takes forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, but hey, listen, we all approach things like that.
Yeah, I was
I don't, but
I was impressed by Gordon Sargent.
name to look out for in the future.
Yeah, he was the low amateur. He was excellent.
Yeah.
I was at points. I was like, how come this guy's not 20?
Yeah. Did you see that? Did you see his putt on the 18th as well?
He's so young.
Wow,
That was
I
mad.
can't even. We would not even mention
That was a
yet.
long boy.
No, on 18.
Oh,
the one that bounced out.
Oh yeah, I was watching it in bed this morning, and Lauren over my shoulder was like, "Did that just come out of the hole?"
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, "Yes, it did." Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I was like, I was laying down on the sofa, and then I almost like sort of double and like shot up. And I looked at it, I was like,
How did that happen? I thought it was a glitch.
I was like, what? So I was straight on Twitter and put that straight up.
Yeah, that was,
The other person that impressed me majorly was Tom Kim.
Tom Kim was good, yeah.
We were talking, me and Jacob were talking before about, we have our draft teams for this year, and Tom Kim has been Jacob's disappointment for this year. He was expecting great things from him, and he maybe hasn't delivered as much as he would like him to have done.
He's just been getting muddy.
Yeah, he has been getting very muddy.
Yeah.
But he was excellent. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was good.
And again, also very, very young. So it's going to be a big career for that boy if he continues.
The future's bright, isn't it?
Yeah. Who disappointed you, Pete? Apart from Rory.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
Yeah,
Rory actually
Can't have
played so
Rory,
well.
and you can't have the
It's-
country club committee or whatever either.
yeah, the USGA.
the members. You let yourself down.
I think. I mean, I can't look past Rory just in respects of because I'm just so invested and I really want to win. And it is one of those things that he does want to win, obviously more than anybody else. But I just want him to win so much. I think, so yeah, I'm going to have to say that, even though, as we've already mentioned, he's had the best second place score in kind of history of the US Open. So,
but he also did he did drastically reduced press. He did no tailor-made stuff.
Yeah, he said he
didn't talk to anyone.
Yeah, he took like a Brooks approach. Apparently,
he basically he had this chat with Tiger where Tiger gave him a couple of swing things. But I imagine also he was like, you need to quit all the other nonsense that you're doing and concentrate on playing golf.
PR stuff and everything.
Yeah, so stupid. This, it kind of is an example. You're a kind of example of this as well, Pete. Is that if you're concentrating on doing lots of other stuff, it's very difficult to also maintain being great at golf at the same time. If you weren't making videos, you could be playing and practicing much more.
Played off 5.
Do you know what I mean? You could be shooting 71.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy. I think, there's a lot that's happened in golf over the past few weeks. I'm old enough to remember 2 weeks ago when he was sticking up for the PGA Tour every week. He's definitely had a lot on his shoulders this year, and he has become this unofficial spokesman, or was this unofficial spokesman for the PGA Tour. And it does feel like he's probably turned around and said to himself, probably the people around him, I'm just not doing that anymore. Yeah. It's got me precisely nowhere.
Yeah.
He spent all year defending a tour, which then took the decision to go against everything that they've been encouraging him to say.
Yeah.
So he's bound to feel blindsided. He's bound to feel a bit like, well, what was the point of all that? So if he is just going to focus purely on his golf, not do any interviews, not do any of that stuff, I don't think anybody's going to begrudge him that.
Wait. I wonder if the PGA and Jay Monahan set this entire thing up to anger Rory so much that he turned into a good golfer again. It's such a long game.
It's a very long game, yeah.
They're like, I tell you what we'll do, we'll reel Rory in and we'll make him be our spokesperson, right? And then we'll betray him publicly in front of everyone, and then he'll go and win another major.
How well will he swing with 3 knives in his back? God, he's swinging it so well now. Yeah. He's swinging it so well. I think the person who impressed me is obviously Wyndham Clark. I mean, he's just... The way that he handled himself, it was really impressive to see. Never been in a situation like that before, contending for a US Open, under that pressure, with the course getting harder and harder.
Yeah, massive underdog.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's obviously won this year, but I don't think many people would have picked him at the start of the week to actually win this. And the way that he clearly held all that emotion in until he held that last putt as well. They just exploded out of him.
Crying everywhere.
It just made that 2-putt on the 18th look so easy as well. It was a 60-foot putt.
Yeah.
A 60-foot putt. And
under that pressure.
I could imagine what literally every single golfer, who's not a PGA Tour pro, who's not a Tour pro, whatever, would have been thinking if you tell them you've got 2 putts to win whatever.
Yeah.
How many people would actually 2-putt that?
Yeah. What distance would you be comfortable 2-putting for the
4 foot?
And even then, it's a bit of a stretch.
It would be lagged. It'd be a 2-foot, 2-foot. Just tapping it. Because it's just oh man, the pressure of it. But the way he hit the putt was a perfect pace. He obviously had full control over what he was doing. And then as soon as that putt dropped, man, it's just, you could just see the relief, the emotion, everything about it was just great. And that's why even though I am disappointed Rory didn't win, I'm actually really happy that Clark did.
Okay.
It's probably the best way to describe it. I'm really happy for him. Really like the way he plays. Man, going on to the final major as well.
I think they're going to rip it apart. I really do.
So you two went recently to Royal Liverpool.
Yeah.
Pete got to play. Kieran got to film. Sometimes I think actually filming the course, you get a really you get a really interesting understanding of how it's going to play because you're viewing it through the lens and stuff. But Pete, actually hitting shots on it, how does it feel? And you've been to courses where people, where the where the big boys have played before. What's the kind of vibe? How's it feeling as a course that we know these guys are going to go and attack?
I want to put on record here that I actually quite like Royal Liverpool.
Is that a hot take?
But it is like whatever people say out-facing. I think pros are getting a little bit more outspoken now. Out of the open venues, it's definitely not the strongest. And it's definitely not the most interesting. Like the common joke about Royal Liverpool is that you can stand in the middle and see 18 flags.
Yeah, isn't that that's Carter's guy?
It's like it is very
so funny.
It is very flat. And when we went there, I think we got down to about maybe it was the 8th or something like that. And I stood there, and the Open has all these yellow signposts, and you could see hundreds of them around the course.
Yeah.
And it's like we're saying about you want a course where you can anchor onto a few holes that you remember, that you can judge a course on. There's only a few at Royal Liverpool that you're going to remember.
Yeah, is there a new kind of weirdly placed par 3 you were saying?
Yeah, 17.
The 17th, which they've built. So the 17th is a new par 3. It's only short. It's like max about probably 150, 160 from the back.
Yeah.
But it's uphill. It's going to be a blind tee shot, but the green is a massive plateau where you're overlooking kind of like the estuary and like you see over to Wales. It's an amazing spot. It's an amazing view, but it is quite out of keeping with the rest of the course.
Yeah.
And they've built that, I think, so they have a little bit of height because it is like a flat course, obviously. A bit of height, a little bit of drama. I can imagine what that's going to look like on TV. And
enough space for a grandstand behind it, or
there's a grandstand to the right of it.
Just next to it.
They're going to leave the back clear so the TV can see over the view. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
But apart from that, they've really tried, and we noticed this when we went. Like, if you think that the fairways at LA Country Club were wide, the fairways at Royal Liverpool are narrow.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Oh, are they?
They are narrow. But we have an issue because it has rained once in like 3 weeks in the UK. And if it continues to be as dry, the rough's just going to get burnt away.
Yeah, it's going to be there's going to be no defence.
So you'll have a flat course, no rough, and the very best players in the world angle into attack.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, you're going to be looking at St Andrews numbers, I think.
If the wind doesn't blow. Because let's face it, the links courses are, you can have a very, very simple links course, and if the wind is smashing across it at 40 miles an hour,
that's true.
It starts to get interesting.
That's true.
Because there are dangers there. You know, there's a bit of gorse, and like, you know, there's nothing to say that there won't be rain.
I mean, there has been some, you know,
last night.
Yeah, bloody hell.
One downpour last night.
Yeah, it was nuts.
About it. So, you know, we won't know, but it is going to really suit. And I might be having a little bit of bias here when I'm thinking about Tiger winning there. But if it stays this dry and bouncy, you know, you're not really going to have to hit a lot of drivers.
No.
You know, it's going to really favour those ball strikers with their irons. So that's why I'm thinking Fleetwood, you know. That's why I'm thinking players like Scheffler.
God, if I'm...
Because
the first major, this is going to be the first major that I attend in person, which is going to be like a really special, you know, golfing moment for me, which is going to be great. If Fleetwood wins at the first major golf tournament that I attend, I'll get a Tommy Fleetwood tattoo.
Wow.
Really?
All right.
What's going to be a Tommy Fleetwood tattoo there?
It's just a hat with the hair coming out of it.
I think we get like I think a Christ the Redeemer type of pose with just like Tommy's head on there.
Do you know?
Fairway Jesus on there.
I take the swing arc that you can make on whatever that app is, Shot Tracer app. I take that. Get that tattooed up.
Nah. It's got to be his face.
Got to be okay.
It's got to be Tommy Fleetwood's face on your forearm. So every time you like grip a club, you just see him.
Just there. Yeah,
but not a good one. Like a bit of a bad tattoo.
Done left-handed by an apprentice.
Like done on Sunday night. done on Sunday night somewhere down in the Wirral. Just like
we can do it.
Some dodgy guy in his garage. Like
now it doesn't feel safe.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, you've heard it here first.
Before we get to the Open, shall we just quickly go through the standings of our major draft so that we are prepared for the Open?
Yeah.
there was a little bit of change before this tournament that just happened, the US Open. So let's go through where we're up to so that we can kind of preface the Open as accurately as possible.
Okay. So if you are a new listener to the podcast, at the start of the year, myself, Kieran, Mick, and Jacob, who isn't here, we picked our draft teams for the majors. So it's 4 players. There's been a little bit of swapping and changing with penalties enforced if you do swap a player out because of injuries, for example. And then Mick last week just completely ripped his team apart. He'd had enough. Just got rid of people. And then anytime you swap a player in, you've got to take a miscut number. Very simple. If, like, for example, this week, who's our highest finish? Who's got Rory?
Jacob has.
Jacob's got Rory.
So Jacob got 2 points for Rory because he finished second. You got Scheffler so 3 points.
You got
I had Cam Smith.
4.
So 4. So basically you get the point awarded for their position.
makes my team, you just went through your highest scores. Makes my team look so bad.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. And then the person with the lowest number of points at the end of the year is going to be the winner. So what are we on so far?
Okay, so just quickly, Pete's team: Rahm, Smith, Burns, Molinari. Jacob is McIlroy, Tom Kim, Victor Hovland, Adrian Moronk. Kieran has Lowry, who he subbed in after Zalatoris said his season was over. Scheffler, Finau, Koepka. I've got Fitzpatrick, Morikawa, Sungjae Im, and Matsuyama, who I subbed in to get rid of Rob McIntyre. Heartlessly, in Pete's opinion, but he hasn't gone to any of the majors, so it doesn't make any sense to keep him in the team.
Can't believe it.
I can.
I just don't understand why you're not sticking with your team.
Because I don't think he's going to go to the Open either, so I'd be taking a miscut for him. So I've taken a hit this time around so that
imagine if
when it comes to the Open
and Hideki wins
and Hideki wins it, we're
Rob
good.
McIntyre is definitely winning. Can't wait.
Okay, so current standings. Actually, let's go through who you had. So Pete, you had Rahm finished 10th, Smith finished 4th, Burns finished 32nd, and Molinari missed the cut. 92 players missed the cut.
Ouch.
So you get 92 points for that.
big field, isn't it? Big field.
That's big.
92 players.
It's really annoying. Molinari was leading after 3 holes as well.
There was a text in the group chat. Oh, this is his year. Jacob McIlroy obviously came second. Tom Kim finished 8th. Hovland 19th. Moronk missed the cut. I had Fitzpatrick who finished 17th. Morikawa 14th. Matsuyama, who was my sub, finished 32nd. Thank you, Hideki. Sungjae Im missed the cut. Kieran Mulhall. Lowry, your sub, finished 20th.
Yep.
Scheffler finished 3rd. Finau finished 32nd. Koepka finished 17th. No missed cuts for the second tournament in a row.
That's the key.
And to be honest, if like Zalatoris wasn't, he obviously missed the cut, but he withdrew.
Yeah.
So like,
So technically you've had no missed
technically
cuts.
I've kind of had no missed cuts, but I've had to take 2. It's honestly this
Very strong.
You're
going well.
You're doing extremely well. So so if we go through the actual ongoing points totals, I am last with 590 points, having taken a missed cut for Sungjae Im, not making the cut, and then another one for subbing out Rob McIntyre. 590 I'm on. Peter Finch, you're on 466.
Literally, my boy Francesco is
the big one for you, isn't it?
I would be leading if I'd have picked pretty much anybody else in the golfing world apart from Francesco Molinari, I think.
Well, you've also missed your chance to sub him out, because if you sub him out now, you're taking a miscut anyway.
I'm not going to sub him out for the Open. No,
because he might be quite good for the Open. He might
because this is it. This is it now for him.
Yeah.
Unless he performs well in the Open, he's not going to make the Ryder Cup in Rome.
No,
he's not going to be my favourite golfer anymore. Which is
such a lie.
Which is obviously the big motivating factor for him. So,
will you change your concentrating on the skills challenge? Will you change your concentrating on the skills challenge mantra if he doesn't win the Open?
Yeah, he's going to be dead to me.
It's going to be Stenson, Morikawa.
No, Stenson's gone as well.
Stenson's gone as well. Oh, right.
It's just going to be Wyndham Clark.
Clark.
It doesn't have the same kind of ring to it, unfortunately. So you're on 466. In second place, Jacob with 375, and Kieran, even having made a missed cut sub, 326.
Yeah.
So you're winning by nearly 50 points.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one because, like, the Open's so unpredictable.
Yes.
It's so unpredictable. So I'm still confident in my team. Maybe Burns finally started to play a little bit of good golf, but I don't.
You need Molinari to pull his finger out, don't you?
I need Molinari to pull more than a finger out. I need to pull a lot out.
Just pull out a subpar round.
All his fingers and all his toes need to come out.
Yeah.
And it needs to start. But, well, fingers crossed.
So the only other news from the Open is that Tiger has already withdrawn.
Yeah, he's out. He's gone. It's not big a surprise for me, really, but he's just, like, he's at the end now.
Yes.
Wow.
I think he's going to give it. If he doesn't play in anything next year, then I think we could officially call him kind of unofficially retired.
Do you think he'll ever, I mean, we do get some of the kind of older players still, qualifying. Was it Podrick Harrington who won what did he win? He won the Seniors US Open or something to qualify for this year?
He can still play in all of them. Like, can he? He can still keep going for
because he
for a long
had to
time.
play in the Open for a bit. I think that exemption's like 10. Oh, is he still there? Actually available? Maybe not. So
must be surely.
So he will probably qualify now, potentially through his world ranking. But I don't really know. Like, he does seem to pop up still in events and majors and everything else. But like I said, he is bossing it on the seniors tour. So those do give him a little bit of leeway.
Maybe.
So the question is, do you think that Tiger will ever officially go, right, that's it, I'm not going to do it anymore? Or he'll just leave the door open forever and we'll all be in a constant state of sleep paralysis?
You never say never with Tiger, but like with all the players who continue to appear in these majors, if you want to talk about Harrington, there are other examples out there. All these players are still physically able to walk.
Correct. That's a big advantage that they have.
Which I think's pretty important.
Very important.
Podrick, by the way, he's like a fine wine. He's just aging so well and just like producing some great results.
Would you have him in the Ryder Cup team?
Is he captain? No.
Luke Donald.
My friend Luke
Oh
Donald.
yeah, Luke Donald's captain. Yeah, I
Friend
was
of-
going to
friend
say.
of- friend of the
yeah.
channel.
Another player doesn't like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No.
Hates him.
Podrick was the last captain. wasn't he? Yeah. I'm sorry. I was getting confused. I think he could do a job, couldn't he?
Do a job.
Well, someone's going to have to do Molinari's job. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there we
that's
go.
true.
I mean, I'm pretty sure like Podrick is hitting it further now than he was when he was
That's what I mean.
in
Yeah.
his main tour.
It's mad, that, isn't it?
It's that blooming dyna power, mate. I tell you.
Oh, that Wilson driver is
It's just-
insane.
I think he just loves it as well, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah, he
Podrick just
grinds.
loves
He does
golf.
it. He loves it.
Apparently, on the commentators were saying that he loves to grind. He loves to go out there and try and get better, even though he's in the kind of the over the hill section of his career.
The autumn of his career.
Yeah, well done. How
But
poetic.
But it is a long autumn. It's an Indian summer.
Yeah.
It's been autumn for a while.
Yes, the leaves have turned golden, but they have yet to drop.
Yeah, some of them have started.
Yes,
In a heavy wind.
his career has not turned into the brown mulch which sits on the forest floor. He is still full of leaves right now, and it's fantastic to see. Do like Paddy.
Yeah, nice guy.
Nice guy.
Nice guy,
You
love
met
him.
How many times
Yeah.
you met him?
I've not met him, but
You not met
he
him?
seems
No,
like a
no,
nice
Seems
guy.
like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's lovely insight from someone who hasn't met him.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
What a nice guy.
He was actually really nice to him the time I didn't meet him.
Well, do you remember all the times we've actually met Tommy? He's a really nice guy,
Yeah.
and that didn't convince Kieran.
No.
So, like people he's not met.
So Kieran hates Tommy Fleetwood, but he loves Podrick Harrington. Has not even met him.
And Luke Donald apparently. And
He wants the US to win the Ryder Cup because of Brooks Koepka. That's fine.
Unbelievable.
We're going to Scotland.
We are going to Scotland.
When are we going to Scotland?
So, I am.
I've asked Pete about 4 times already today because I was like trying to get. I need to know about these kind of things. So come on, talk us through your entire schedule for the next 5-6 days.
So physically, I don't actually know how I'm doing it, but I've got to go down to London tomorrow via Woburn, and then staying in London, playing in London the day after, then going up to Scotland, St Andrews, there for 3 or 4 days. Then we're across to Dundonald for another 6, and then back home. So that's the trip.
It's gonna be flaming good. Are we telling people what we're recording while we're there, or
No, we don't.
No, well, they don't need to know.
I don't know what we're doing yet.
Yes, we do.
But the
we have no
next podcast will probably be from Dundonald, won't it? Or we could do it from St Andrews.
Probably Dundonald. Would have thought,
Yeah, Dundonald.
Yeah, Dundonald. I think we're going to be pretty rammed for that weekend. So
It's gonna be cool.
playing some nice courses. Playing St Andrews, not the old course. We're playing a different course playing two different courses in St Andrews actually, which I'm quite excited about. And then obviously Dundonald. I think we might try and play one, or they might try and get over to Prestwick potentially. But it's going to be exciting trip. Love it up there. But obviously, I'd be moving up there if I could.
Just putting you on notice, Carly.
we are actually going to be spending a lot of time in Scotland. We are there. Obviously next week, then we're back for a week, then we're there again the week after, then we are back for the Scottish Open that we're there, then we're back for the Open, and then we're home for a week, and then we are doing, the biggest...
Yeah, the most ridiculous...
the biggest project we've ever done.
Yeah.
So if you hadn't heard this, we announced it in last week's podcast, the week before.
Week before.
Week before.
Yeah.
We've been planning this for about 18 months, but we are playing the most northerly mainland UK course, all the way down south to the southerly. There's a bike trip in the UK called Land's End to John O'Groats, or John O'Groats to Land's End, and we are cycling that route.
We?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, we didn't sign up for this nonsense.
Surprise!
I'm going to be in the support vehicle.
I'm doing Forrest Gump. I want to start, and I want people behind me just cycling along with
And then you'll get to the end and you just stop and everyone will go,
I want to go home now. So we're going to do that. It's going to be over 20 days, 1,000 miles, stopping every second day at a golf course to play a match. It's going to be intense. And I think we finally got the name. So after many suggestions...
It's called?
It's called A Fairway Down. So a fairway is in a golf fairway down. See what we did there? What we did there?
And it's a fair way.
Down, a fairway down. So like, where are you going? I'm going a fairway down.
Yeah.
Do you mean like a fair way down, or do you mean like a fairway down? Mm-hmm. It's like it's a play on words. It's absolutely hilarious.
It's grammatical.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Very proud of it.
English.
Now, we were actually going to go for... I think it was Carly who suggested this originally. We were going to go for the Ryder Cup.
Oh, God, yeah. That was so good.
Which would have been great, but I can only imagine the legal implications of trying to pull that off. So,
I mean, in a Ryder Cup year.
Yeah. Bit awkward. So
Come on, watch this one instead.
A fair way down it is, which I'm very, very excited about. The trading's been going okay. We've also had, and I want to say this, we've also had a lot of offers to visit certain courses, a lot of offers of help. I've managed to pretty much get back to everyone, I think. But if not, and you do want to get involved with this, we're going to be releasing more and more info over the next couple of weeks. But if you want to email info@finchgolfmedia.com and you want to offer anything, just go through that. That's the easiest way. I'm just not able to get back to the amount of messages that come through on social at the moment. So that's probably the easiest way to get in contact with us for that. But more information will be announced as we go. And also...
Speaking of things being announced, yes.
There you go. See, I like how we're kind of giving segues to each other now.
No, that was really good. Yeah, I really liked it.
We did a giveaway to celebrate 10,000 subscribers on the Rough Cut Golf Podcast YouTube. If you're watching, amazing. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast provider, please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We did a giveaway for a driver of a person's choice for being a subscriber and to celebrate that landmark. Now, we have drawn the winner. We will get in contact with said winner as well and get that driver shipped off to them. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who did take part. If you do not get a reply to your original comment, then you did not win, I'm afraid. But there will be many giveaways to come.
Yes, there will.
Do we have any other business?
I don't think so. We're good.
I think that's
we picked a winner. Picked a winner.
104.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bloody good at this.
Our podcast.
Do you know what that is? It's because Jacob waffles.
Yeah.
He don't half go on that kid.
Just gives it a little lot. There's no stats today.
No stats, zero stats.
We should next time he comes in, we'll say, could you give us a multi-page breakdown of why Cantley did not win this one?
Yeah. He's only got one more opportunity to get it right.
That's true.
He's only got one more opportunity to pick Cantley again. To win.
Well, you were saying this last time, like, he is just one of the best golfers who has never won anything.
It's just the most consistent, isn't he? It's just
He's just in every kind of metric. He's just up there.
It's just good.
It's just the one metric that kind of counts for most people of like actually wanting somebody to win. He ain't there yet.
Yeah, I have to actually like you in order to root for you. Unfortunately,
I'm sure he's a nice guy.
I don't know. Ask Kieran. He's never met him.
Oh yeah, he's a nice guy.
By the way, also, Pete's just regaled you with the story of where he's going to London and Woburn and whatever. Me, Jacob, and Kieran are actually going to drive up to Scotland together. I'm going to drive. These two are going to be the passengers. So comment below songs that we should definitely listen to on the way to Scotland, because I asked Kieran this morning and he had 0 suggestions. So
you told me to make a playlist. I'm going to make a playlist.
Do not get Kieran to make a playlist.
Is it bad? It's just going to be songs from TikTok and they're going to last 7 seconds.
Honestly, it is literally just TikTok music. And like Kieran has a tendency to like listen to songs where you can't actually understand the lyrics.
Okay. Now
you said that to me once, I remember.
That is very interesting.
I remember you said that to me.
You have quite good car music.
I have exceptional taste in music, actually.
You have very good car music.
My Spotify does anyway.
Yeah. So we're all going to drive up together, which is going to be a hilarious part of the trip, I imagine. There will be a podcast from Dundonald, and then after that is Open Prep, isn't it?
Scottish Open Prep.
Scottish
Actually,
Open
no,
Prep.
it's the other challenge that we're doing.
God, you haven't even spoken about that one.
No, we've not.
We're not telling anyone about that.
We're not telling anyone about that one yet, just because I've only got one thing confirmed out of the 3.
Oh.
Yeah, so, yeah. Yes.
That is going to be a tall order. Oh, God. They're playing 54 holes.
Oh, God. Anyway, so, guys, just want to say a huge thank you for watching on the YouTube. Huge thank you for listening on your favorite podcast provider. Give us a follow on everything if you haven't already. And yeah, I just want you to have the best week possible. That's about it.
Join the Discord and we'll see you later.
See you later.
See you in Dundonald.
Sam.